How to remain calm in social situations. You've been in a conversation before, probably a lot of conversations before, where something just felt off.
This isn't right.
Right? The words were fine. Nobody said anything like super offensive or awkward. But for some reason, it just didn't feel right. Like the vibe was off.
We're going to work on our communication.
What you were picking up wasn't the words they were saying, it was their emotional state underneath the words. People are really good at reading emotional signals, right? Tone, eye contact, body language, fidgeting, the pace of breathing. And we all do this constantly, automatically, without even thinking about it. We don't consciously process someone else's emotional state, we catch it. And once you understand how this works, you're really able to understand one of the most important parts of social interaction that is rarely ever taught. The most important part of any social interaction that you bring is not the words you say, it's the emotional state you're in during the conversation. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Brian Bradshaw. I'm author of the book Accomplish Anything and founder of The Social Edge. And on this channel, we talk about communication skills, confidence, and charisma. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. There's an actual mechanism behind this vibe check feeling that you get with somebody, and it has a name. Emotional contagion is the process where our emotional state transfers to the other person during a conversation. Not through words, not through deliberate communication, but through the automatic and unconscious mirroring of the other person's energy. Psychologist Elaine Hatfield, who spent decades studying this, describes it as the tendency to automatically mimic and synchronize facial expressions, vocalization, posture, and movements from the other person, and to converge emotionally as a result. That last part really matters. Convergence isn't just behavioral, it's actually felt.
Yeah, I felt that too.
When you mirror someone's tense posture, your nervous system is actually recalibrating your own energy. When you synchronize with someone else's slow, calm, deliberate breathing, your nervous system recalibrates to be calm. The body doesn't wait for the mind to decide how to feel. It catches the signal and it adjusts. Have you ever walked into a room for a meeting or maybe, a family get together and you just stop and whoa, you can feel the tension in the room and no one's even said a word. You can just feel it. Or how certain people, when you leave a conversation with them, they always make you feel happy or upbeat or with a smile. And then other people, it's like a storm cloud just came over and you're like, uh-oh, here we go again. The emotional environment isn't just set by what people say, it's set by who they are, their baseline emotional state, their level of emotional regulation, the quality of their nervous system in any given situation. And you and I are constantly broadcasting our own emotional state. And here's a really important point. Of all the emotions that spread through this emotional contagion, anxiety, fear, they spread the fastest. And there's an evolutionary logic behind this, because throughout history, threat detection in small groups and social environments needed to be on point. If one person in the tribe or the town or the group picked up on any sense of danger, whether it be from a predator, whether it be from a bad storm or the weather changing, whether it be from a rival group, the survival advantage went to the groups that spread that signal the fastest and they were able to get ready and prepared the quickest. This system is still running, and in modern social contexts, there's really no predator threat to detect.
A predator.
But it still fires on the same cues: agitation, hypervigilance, nervousness, slightly elevated tension in someone's face, in their eyes, in their voice, in their posture, that little hesitation before they speak. When someone enters a room and they're really nervous, you don't automatically point out and say, that person's nervous. You can just sense it. They seem to be an unease about themselves. And that signal propagates before anyone can really evaluate it. This is why nervous energy in social situations creates a specific kind of problem. It's not that people think less of nervous people consciously. It's that sensing that nervousness triggers a low-level threat response, like a mild, quick scanning of, what's the problem here? What's going on?
The score here.
And that scanning, that slight edge in vigilance, makes genuine connection harder to achieve. Here's what makes this especially important. Most communication skills that people work on or search up are all verbal.
No shit.
How to open a conversation, what to say, how to tell better stories, how to ask better questions. And all of that sits on the base of the emotional level of the person. And if the emotional level is broadcasting anxiety, none of those skills will land the way you want them to. People hear your words through your emotional state, and the state you're in is louder than the words. And speaking of words, there's a word that constantly comes up in discussions like this. In conversations about social intelligence and charisma and leadership, and that word is presence. Too many people treat presence like a vague quality, like it's either something they have or something they don't. But presence has a real specific and precise definition, and the more you understand that, the much better social interactions you'll have. Presence is not confidence per se, and it's not extroversion. It's not the ability to hold the room's attention or tell a compelling story. Presence is the absence of internal tension competing with the moment. When someone is fully present in a conversation, their attention isn't divided between the interaction and something going on in the background, or self-monitoring, or scanning for threats, or how they're performing. They're not tracking how they're landing. They're not managing an impression. They're not halfway in the conversation and halfway thinking about what they're going to make for dinner. Their nervous system is in the room, and that quality of full, undivided attention is inside their body, and it is felt by other people in the conversation in a way that almost nothing else is. The opposite of presence isn't absence, it's tension. The internal agitation of the mind that's running too many other processes at one time. Engaging with the conversation while also evaluating it at the same time. Connecting with someone while also monitoring something else. Being in the room while also watching yourself in the room. That tension is felt. Not always consciously, not always clearly, but it creates a subtle friction in the interaction. A small sense that something's being withheld or guarded or just isn't fully there. And here's a difficult truth. You can't talk your way out of tension. You can't choose better words to say or a better posture to stand in when your nervous system is displaying agitation. The verbal layer, the technical layer of speaking or conversing or presenting is very important, but the emotional level, again, is way more important. Most people think remaining calm is a personality trait or like this special gift you were born with, something you either have or you don't. The naturally relaxed person who doesn't get rattled, who moves through difficult situations without visible agitation. But being calm isn't a trait, it's a skill. And like any other skill, it's a skill you probably weren't born with, but you can learn. And what makes being calm a skill is that it requires active cultivation, active practice and participation, not in the exact moment of stress, before it. The people who always seem to remain calm during high stress or high stakes situations have been there before. They've done something to build that capacity. Not necessarily like a formal practice, but a relationship with their own nervous system that they've developed that most people have not. Calm as a social skill means being able to regulate your physiological state in a way that shapes the emotional environment around you. It means entering a room at a pace that communicates deliberateness rather than urgency, pausing before you respond. Not because you don't know what to say, but because the pause itself indicates that you're operating from not a place of anxiety. Allowing silence without rushing in to fill it. Maintaining easy eye contact that invites conversation. None of this is a performance, and this is a crucial distinction. Performed calm reads as tension in disguise. Real calm is physiological. It's in your breathing rate. It's in the softness of your eye contact, your vocal pace, the quality of stiffness that's in your body. The people who can change the emotional energy of the room aren't doing it because they just manage their image.
As if.
They do it by managing their emotional state. And the room responds because nervous systems respond to each other. And a regulated nervous system is something that's generally pleasant to be around. So how can you actually develop this? Here are 5 concrete practices. Not in the moment of stress, but something that could be practiced anytime to help build that skill. Step number 1, regulate before you enter the room.
213 will regulate.
Most people think about how they want to perform in a social situation, but almost no one thinks about the state that they're in before entering it. Before any high-stakes social interaction, a job interview, a presentation, a first date, take 5 minutes to physically regulate. Not affirmations, not rehearsals. Slow your breathing deliberately. Here's something I use every time before I go on stage. It's a technique I learned called box breathing. You think of like a square, you got 4 sides. Each part of the breathing takes 4 seconds. 4-second inhale, a 4-second hold, a 4-second exhale, and then another 4-second hold. It'll look something like this. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold for 4 seconds. And then repeat. And notice how I kept my eyes closed when I do it. You don't have to, and that's what I found has helped me. Anytime before I have to go up on stage or get behind a podium or run a seminar, if I feel my heart beating, if I feel my palms sweating, I'll say, well, time to box breathe. I'll go somewhere quiet, I'll sit down, I'll close my eyes, 4 seconds inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. Oh, you only have to do this once or twice and you can literally feel your heart rate slowing down. Your nervous system responds to physiological input, not a pep talk. Step number 2, slow down 1 layer further than feels natural. Nervous energy has a pace. It speaks faster than it needs to. It moves before the thought is even finished. It fills silence before it has time to settle. Whatever speed feels natural to you in a social situation, try turning it down 1 notch slower. Let the question land before you answer it. Allow a slight pause after you've made the point. Move through the room at a slow pace, like you're not being chased by a wild animal.
Sudan, who was chased by soldiers and crocodiles.
It's not about being slow. It's about not letting your nervous system set the tempo. When you control the pace, you control a huge part of the emotional signal you are broadcasting. Step number 3, learn to locate tension in your body in real time. Most people experience social anxiety as a thought, the worry, the self-monitoring, the internal dialogue. But anxiety is also always physical, and the physical version is more interruptible than the psychological one. Start noticing where you hold tension in social situations. Your shoulders, your jaw, your chest, the quality of your breathing. Once you can locate it in real time, then you can address it directly. A deliberate exhale, a conscious release of a tight muscle, a quick moment of letting the physical tension release before you re-engage in the conversation. You're not eliminating the feeling, you're interrupting its control over your emotional state. Step number 4, stop filling every silence. Silence in a conversation is almost always one of the most reliable indicators of nervous energy. Anxious people fill it instinctively, with words, with another question, with anything that will help remove the silence, the awkward silence of the moment.
That's awkward. That's awkward.
Start practicing tolerance for silence. In your next conversation, in a place where a pause just naturally happens, don't immediately fill it with more words. Let it sit for at least 1 beat. Don't explain it. Don't apologize for it. Let it happen. What you'll notice is that other people don't experience silence the same way that your nervous system does. Most of the time, it reads as thoughtfulness. It reads as someone who doesn't need to manage every second of the interaction. It reads, in other words, as calm. Step number 5, shift your focus from how you're landing to what you're noticing. The fastest route out of tension in a social interaction is the same route out of awkwardness and overthinking. Move your attention outward. When you're focused on how you're coming across in an interaction, your nervous system is in evaluation mode, right? Scanning for threats, checking for signals, generating a low level of agitation that will spread through emotional contagion. When you shift your attention to general curiosity about the other person, what they're actually saying, how they feel, how their nervous system is calibrated, your nervous system has somewhere useful to direct all that energy. You don't regulate your state by thinking about your state. You regulate it by engaging in something outside of it. Most people spend years worrying about what to say in social situations. Very few spend any time on their energy level behind it. But people feel your emotional state before they even hear your words. They catch your tension before you finished your sentence. They're responding to your nervous system before even fully processing what you said. The most powerful thing you can bring into any room, any social interaction, any presentation, isn't the words you say, it's the emotional state you're in. That's a skill, and just like tying your shoes or driving a car, all skills are learnable and able to be improved with practice. Work on your state. The words take care of themselves. And if you'd like to go even further on this topic, I'll have a link down below to my article on Substack. And if you've made it this far, again, I thank you for watching. New videos drop every week, and please subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.